name is Rob Dauster. The gentleman you see next to me with the Washington Nationals hat today. You switched up the jersey in the background, so you must have lost a couple bets in a row.
I did. DC.
Here's the one and only Jeff Goodman. Jeff, how are you? How's your morning?
It could be better. We found out my daughter, if you listen to the live stream, she had a little incident backing out of the driveway, and we got the estimate. It's $2,100 for a bumper. The best part is you go down there and the guy at the auto body shop is like, yeah, it's like simple, easy, just cosmetic. I'm like, all right, what are we talking, like 500, 800? And we get, the email yesterday afternoon, $2,100. So it's raining here. It snowed. So I drove my daughter to and from school just now, which is like a half hour away. So it's just, not a good day. Not a good day.
A fun morning for you, Jeffrey. At least it's positive degrees. At least you're not dealing with what people in Texas and people in the South are dealing with, which is part of the reason why tonight's betting slate is going to be a little bit
lackluster.
A little lackluster. We'll get into that though. Before we do, the ACC there was news all over the place in the ACC yesterday.
There was.
We got to talk about Jalen Johnson. We got to talk about Jim Christian, but I think first and foremost, let's talk about the ass whooping that Florida State put on Virginia yesterday, because that was we saw it yesterday. Why Florida State is the best team in the ACC.
Yeah, they're big, they're strong, they're athletic, they're all those things. Like, they look like men, they're older, all that. And the other thing with this Florida State team, they can shoot the shit out of the basketball. Like, that's the X factor for me with this Florida State team. Like, I've never believed in the past they've been a great shooting team. Like, they've had great shooters, but they've never had this type of overall shooting. I mean, MJ Walker, like, he shoots the shit out of it now. Like, they got enough dudes. Everybody can shoot it. And again, they're good defensively. They're athletic. They're versatile. They've got bigs that aren't great. They're not like the bigs that we remember them having, right? These huge, massive 7-foot, either the John Krefts or the Solomon Alibi, like those guys. They don't really have those anymore, but they just got good pieces, and they play together, and they play hard, and they're tough, and they shoot the shit out of it.
Yeah, and Boss is pretty good and pretty big, but he's more of a – I mean, he's more of like a Euro big. Like, he'll step out and knock down a jumper. Like, he had one move yesterday where he crossed someone up and put the ball between his legs and drove past Sam Hauser and drew a foul, which is not exactly the greatest sign in the world for Sam Hauser's perimeter defense. Rayquan Gray is, like, without a doubt, one of my favorite players in the country. We've talked about this, Jeff. When you're 6'8", 260, and you play the point, like, you're going to be awesome.
Two big, strong dudes that can make plays for other people in Rayquan Gray and Scotty Barnes. Like, those are two men. Like, and you get that type of passing ability from guys at positions that you just don't normally see it from. That's a major advantage.
Yeah, and we also saw really what the Achilles heel is for Virginia. They were overwhelmed physically by the size of Florida State, and that's where their weakness is. When Kihei Clark is able to go up against someone where he can kind of get into the paint and he can create stuff off the bounce, he can be effective. Like, he getting him into the lane and letting him find a shooter on the perimeter is a very effective way for Virginia to get offense, right? Especially because, we talked about it yesterday. All of their best shooters, all of their floor spacers are bigs. Yeah. So when Jay Huff is out beyond the three-point line, and Sam Hauser is beyond the three-point line, and Trey Murphy's beyond the three-point line, then all of the guys that would normally be helping and trying to prevent Kihei from scoring in the paint, they have to go chase around shooters on the perimeter. It's a weird kind of roster construction. But if Kihei cannot get by his man, if he's got a 6'7" Scotty Barnes on him, he's completely ineffective. So that's
again, my big thing was I've questioned Virginia all season long. Their best win is at Clemson. That's their best win. Like, they have no right being in the top 10 in any ranking anywhere. No right. And we are going to have a special guest on Thursday to talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to tell you. You don't know who it is. I haven't told you. All I've told you is we're going to have a special guest on Thursday on this stream on Best Bets. It's going to be the first cameo. the first guest that we've brought on. And I'm going to start mixing it up a little bit. I'm tired of looking at your mug and your mug alone. So I'm bringing on a special guest Thursday and Saturday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Trust me, it'll be entertaining.
Great. We'll see how that goes. You got anything else to add about this? I'm not
the best team in the league. They're the best team in the league. And I now believe, here's what I think. Here's what I think, Rob. I now think Florida State is a team that is capable of making a deep run. I did not think that before last night.
I can see it a little bit. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is like they're not as good defensively as they've been in the past. They can overwhelm people, but they're not an elite defensive team. Like they're big and athletic, but they do a lot. They give up a lot of points. It's not the thing about last year was that they were their communication was incredible. They didn't make any mistakes on that end of the floor. This year it's not so much that. Like there'll be times when they have Scotty Barnes is running at the wrong guy. You have the wrong person in rotation, or you're not switching where you're supposed to be. So there's teams are able to get a little bit more open looks, but
they're still pretty good.
They're really good. I know
better offensively. You got to give up a little on the defensive end because they are better offensively than they've been.
So it's kind of like Ohio State in a sense, in that what you want to do in this era of basketball is get guys that are in that kind of like 6'5" to 6'8" range that are all big, that can all shoot, that can all play different positions, right? Florida State's figured that, like Leonard Hamilton's been doing this forever. This is exactly what Ohio State's doing this year too, and
because you can switch everything.
You can switch everything. You can space the floor. Everybody on their roster is able to put the ball on the floor and make a play. They're incredibly versatile, and it makes it incredibly difficult to run offense against them. And it's just they're a really good, solid team that's not going to beat themselves, and they can match up. You're not going to find a mismatch for them. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I still think that they're kind of a little bit below that, like they're definitely not in the Michigan tier. No, and I think they're a little bit below like an Ohio State and kind of teams at that level. But yeah, I think they're a top 10 team.
Right. I think if you're doing the Dauster power rankings, you're putting them in the top 10.
I think they're probably kind of in that like back end top 10 range. Here's the way I'll phrase it. Entering this game, it was what, like Virginia was 9th and Florida State was 18th or something like that. Yeah, I think that you flip-flop them. Yeah, like Florida State's probably back in top 10, like 11, 12, something like that. And Virginia's probably like the 19th, 20th best team in the country. I think that's kind of what it is. All right, Jalen Johnson. I have a lot of takes on this. You were kind of ahead of the game on it, so I'm going to open the floor to you first. Obviously, Jalen Johnson left Duke. They phrased it as an opt-out. And they said that he's doing it for his health to prepare for the NBA draft. I'll open the floor to you, and then I'll say my piece after.
I mean, listen, they've had issues. Duke's had issues with Jalen Johnson dating back to early in the season. I said it when he stepped away with a foot injury in December. I forget my words, but I think it was something to the effect of, I'm not buying it. There's more to it than the foot injury. There might have been a minor foot injury, but it was more of what was going on behind the scenes. My sources told me at the time there was some real thought that Jalen Johnson would opt out then. He came back. He was good at times, but the biggest problem, and we heard this from Coach K, the biggest problem that they had with Jalen Johnson was he didn't play hard consistently. He showed it in flashes, but he didn't play hard consistently. That's why Coach K played him 8 minutes the other night, and they won. So I think from K's standpoint, it was, okay, at some point, enough is enough. And yes, the perception isn't going to look good with a McDonald's All-American with a one and done opting out. But ultimately, if this helps the team, which I think it will, because now you've got everybody bought in, at least, where all these guys knew Jalen Johnson wasn't completely bought in. And in defense of Jalen Johnson, Rob, in defense, it's his call, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he's got a lot of people around him, his parents, an agent, other agents, who knows, people around him telling him, hey, you know what? you keep playing 8 minutes, your draft stock is going to keep on falling. So you've got to get out of here while you can and protect your draft stock. Make sure you're still a first-round pick. But, Jalen Johnson, think about this. He didn't get on campus until August 20th. He had COVID. The whole team didn't come in until August 5th at Duke. He had COVID, so he came in 2 weeks later. So he missed the entire summer of bonding. And this year isn't like any other. They're not going out. They're not having parties. They're not hanging out at the same level on the road. They're not allowed to do certain things. So you don't have that bond. So when people are saying like he's quitting on his teammates, listen, I understand it, but I'm not completely buying that he's quitting on his teammates at this point. It's a pandemic year. It's different. Let's not criticize the kid. Let's let him do what he wants to do and hope it works out for him in the long run. Ultimately, Jalen Johnson has to develop a better work ethic on and off the court. And if he does that, he's shown glimpses of being a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with the sentiment that you said that I don't like how vociferous people have been about how much he is a quitter. Now, he is, I don't like the term that he is opting out. I like the phrase that he's just done playing college basketball, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with saying he's done playing college basketball, but I think so much of this conversation is being tinged by the fact that Jalen has a reputation for doing this a little bit. He went to 3 high schools in his last 3 years. He left, it was Montverde. He left at like the semester break over the holidays last season to transfer in the middle of the season.
I think it was
IMG, whichever one it was. He left in the middle of the season and transferred back to a local high school in Wisconsin. And it's when you've been criticized for your work ethic and your buy-in, you play 8 minutes in the best game of the season that Duke plays, and then you say, okay, I'm done. Like that, the optics of that are going to look really bad. The other part of it is that if the statement that Duke put out and that Jalen put out was that he's doing this to get healthy, right? Well, if it was an injury issue, he wouldn't be going home. He would be staying at Duke where he gets the best medical treatment he could possibly get. So there's obviously something else going on there. Now, you're right. It's a pandemic year, and like everything that is going on this season with all of these kids, like at some point, if Jalen says, look, what's best for me is I got to go, then that's fine. Like, go ahead. No one should judge him for it. Everyone is going to judge him for it because he's Duke and he's Jalen Johnson and he has the reputation preceding him. But no one should, if this is what he needs to do that's best for him, then go for it.
I think it's best for both sides right now, Rob.
Yes, you're right. But it's also the other part of it is like, I just hope that this is not something where there are voices in his ear that influence him to make a decision that he didn't want to make.
But there are. What do you mean you hope? You hope there aren't. You know there are.
No, yeah, I know there are. And what I'm saying is I hope that this is what he wanted and not something that he was talked into doing. Does that make sense?
I'm sure he was persuaded by the adults in the room, or the so-called adults in the room, that are saying, again, if you continue to play 8 minutes, you're not going to be a first-round pick. So you need to get the hell out of there now. And on the flip side, Coach K is saying, you know what? We try to get you to buy in. And at this point, if you want to go, we're going to let you go. We're gonna support you, whatever it is. And ultimately, we think it's best for Duke also, because you weren't bought in and you weren't helping us. And we just won. We had our best game of the season, maybe, with you playing 8 minutes. We're going to play Mark Williams more because he wants to play, and we can trust Mark Williams. The other part with Jalen Johnson, Rob, was defensively he was a mess. He was a complete mess. So you had a guy that wasn't completely bought in. He showed flashes, but he didn't play hard consistently, so they didn't know what they were going to get on that end. And then you add in defensively, he really didn't know what he was doing a lot of the time. And it's like, okay, you know what? We're probably going to be better without him.
Yeah. And so all I would ask is that we just we just chill a little bit on the he's a quitter. He quit on his team stuff.
Right. That's bullshit.
Well, yeah, I mean it is, but it's also
you don't say that about a kid.
No, you're right. Well, what I'm saying is that it's also evidence that when you have a reputation for doing these kind of things, that stuff's going to stick with you. So you need to when you make some decisions when you're younger, especially if you're going to be a future star. Like, you have to be cognizant of that. You have to understand that something like transferring in the middle of the season as a high school or going to 3 schools in 3 years, like and if it puts you in a situation, like, it's going to, you're going to have a reputation, and it's going to start building a brand for you. And you don't want
NBA guys
were
hitting me up. NBA guys were hitting me up like crazy last night. What did he do? What's Duke saying about him? Are they killing him already? And I'm like, they're really not. Like, I think Duke, honestly, is good with this. I honestly think they're good with this, other than the fact that they may be concerned of how this looks to other recruits. That's probably their biggest.
It's also like, it shouldn't look like the point you made about not being able to get to know anybody is such an important point in this conversation, because when he's in a new place, he doesn't know anyone. He's got to be isolated. They're not going to be able to have team dinners. They're not going to be able to hang out on the road. He's not able to go out and party. Like, every night he's basically sitting in his room watching Netflix. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, he's playing 8 minutes a game, and it might be costing him his draft stock. Like, I get it.
You can't blame him. Like, it makes sense. Like, financially and everything, it makes some sense, right? The more he plays 8 minutes, the more eventually people are going to say why. And eventually he might fall out of the first round.
Look what happened to like BJ Boston and Terrence Clark, and like the conversation changed for them because they kept playing.
Well, Terrence Clark, I don't know for a fact on this one, but I don't doubt that Terrence Clark's situation is similar to Jalen Johnson's, other than the fact that he hasn't left Kentucky in Lexington.
Well, it's also, maybe he was milking the injury a little bit. I don't know. I don't have any information on that. You might know better than me.
Well, Cal came out and said the doctor cleared him, and then the next day he said, no, he's hurt. So,
well, here's the thing. Like, Terrence is still in Lexington, right? Has he left?
Yes.
Which leads me to believe there probably is an actual injury there, because the best place for him to get kind of treatment is staying on campus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes and no. I think, again, you can get good treatment if you're connected to an agent. They'll find some place to get you rehabbed, and you can train and start preparing for the draft. And I'm sure that's what Jalen Johnson is hopefully going to do here. That's what he should be doing.
What he should be doing is locking himself in the gym and shooting 8,000 jumpers every single day. That's what he should be doing. Otherwise, he's going to be like a lesser version of Ben Simmons. And the entire value of Ben Simmons is that not only is he a great passer, but he's also an elite defensive player.
Right.
Like, Jalen Johnson, if you're not a good shooter and you're not a good defensive player, like, all you are is a guy. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll leave you with this. There are really only 3 people that should have an opinion on or that can really like value have a valuable opinion on what's happening right here, right? So 3 people I want to hear from. 1 would be like the Duke staff. I want to hear honestly what the Duke staff thinks, right? 2, I want to hear honestly what like Jalen Johnson and his people have to say about this situation. And 3, I want to hear from the guy that he dunked all over, who now has to realize that he's going to be on every single highlight reel and every single meme for like years. And all of this could have been avoided if Jalen Johnson would have just left 3 weeks ago. So PJ Hall, I'm sorry, brother. You were 3 weeks too early.
All right. The third biggest story in the ACC.
Yeah, just go quick on Jim Christian, because I know you got something to say, and then we can get into tonight's slate.
Yeah, listen, my whole deal on this was it's complete bullshit of Boston College Athletic Director Patrick Kraft to do it when he did it. And I have been, honestly, the least supportive guy of Jim Christian and keeping him of anybody in the national media over the last 5 years. Seriously. Like, didn't like 7 years. I didn't like the hire when it was made. I thought it should have been Mike Hopkins, and I've said it over and over and over again. However, the timing on this was complete bullshit, Rob. Wait 3 more weeks and let the guy finish out with his team in an effing pandemic. It's not right to the kids. It's not right to Jim Christian. It's not right to that staff, everybody. So to me, again, that's the bullshit. You can wait 3 more weeks. You're already talking to people behind the scenes, whether it's agents, whether it's probably coaches. I don't know what it is, but you can already do it. It's not like this is giving you a major head start. You're not getting John Beeline tomorrow or anybody for that matter. You can do your due diligence behind the scenes if you're Patrick Kraft. So again, listen, Jim Christian should have been fired last year, after last season. If there wasn't a pandemic, he should have been fired after last season. Okay, it was never going to work here with Jim Christian and Boston College. However, the timing on this was completely tone deaf for Patrick Kraft. And I'm told, according to my sources, again, nothing happened yesterday with like Jim Christian all of a sudden going in and blowing up on Kraft. I think this started a couple weeks ago when Patrick Kraft tried to get BC to play Florida State with 4 scholarship guys, which was complete bullshit. And they played with 5 scholarship guys for the last 2 weeks, which is bullshit. So, like, to me, again, Bush League move by an athletic director here, not to let him finish the season and then whack him.
The only thing I'll say is that I found it curious that this happened the same day that they announced that, was it Winston Tabbs is being removed from the team because of violation of COVID protocols, and then
they have strict school university rules.
So I wonder if it was. I just wonder if it was, and this is just complete speculation by me, but I just wonder if it was something like the players went out, the team went out, and they were like, "You can't control your players, and we can't have you coaching anymore." Oh, there we go. Not a ding today. We got a phone call. All right.
Yeah, I forgot to turn out.
All right, let's talk about tonight's slate, which is this is honestly there's
the worst
not
2-day stretch we've had.
There's not a single game here where I'm like, I'm excited to bet this, which is kind of like the first day that's happened. So I'm not going to have everything that I mentioned here. I'm going to have like a little bit of money on, but like I don't think I'm going to bet more than like $10 on any of these games, just so I can say that I'm doing it, just so I can be honest with myself when I'm telling you guys to bet that I also have something invested. So like I don't feel very good about anything.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, I'll start with just fading Georgia because it's worked more than it hasn't this year. And Missouri's coming off, right, a loss. Georgia getting 3.5 at home against Mizzou. I don't love it. I'm not saying I love it, but again, my whole deal is I don't think Georgia's very good. So I'm going to take Missouri there.
Yeah, I mean it's a good buy low spot. Missouri coming off of 2 losses. I'm shocked that you did. Like I really expected it. There is the perfect spot for you in a 7:00 tip.
For me?
Yeah, the perfect spot.
Huh.
Austin P is playing.
Oh no, I'm getting there.
Austin P, I can't believe you didn't mention it first. Like that is your team against the team that you fade. I'm a little disappointed.
SEMO hasn't been loading up lately. They've only played 2 games in the last week, so it's not as usually like SEMO, right? They play every other day, like SIU Edwardsville, and we know what I think of Austin P. I mean, I still can't believe I don't have a shirt. If the season ends without me having a Let's Go P shirt, I think I'm going to reach out to Matt Figure today. I'm putting it on my list. You got to have one there. There's got to be something. I'm working on it. I will pay whatever money it costs to get a Let's Go P shirt in here soon.
All right, and as always, these odds and these lines are courtesy of our friends over at Bet Rivers and our partners at Bet Rivers. I just want to tell you guys a little bit about Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with them yet, now's the time. Bet Rivers Sportsbook is offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. What sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. When you win at Bet Rivers Sportsbook, they pay fast, and now it's even faster with Rush Pay instant approval for withdrawals. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. I know because I use them. With March Madness right around the corner, there's never been a better time to give Bet Rivers Sportsbook a try. Go to betrivers.com today or download the Bet Rivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Jeff, I think the line that I like the most here is probably Purdue laying 5.5 at home against Michigan State. And that's simply just because it's Michigan State. I think that we can fade.
Man, you hate Michigan State so much.
They're just not very good. I don't hate them. I actually like them a lot. Mex Carey's my guy. I've known Mex since he was at Georgetown. Fife is let's just say
Fife. Is Fife okay? We haven't heard from him in a while.
Let's just say he's entertaining. Izzo is one of the top 5 coaches in the country to get on the phone because you're always going to get a straight answer from him. But I just don't like this spot.
I do. I mean, listen, Michigan State's 2-7 on the road against the spread this year. So yeah, I do like Purdue. I do. I mean, I don't love it, but I like it. What about your Iowa State team? You don't like them covering, getting 11.5 against Oklahoma State?
It kind of feels like the bottom is starting to fall out of the season for Iowa State.
Okay.
They're back healthy now. There's no edge in getting all of those guys back. They just got their ass kicked twice by Kansas, and I feel like this is a little bit of a get right spot. It's Cade Cunningham has not been very good for like the last 3 or 4 games. I know he had 26 against Kansas, but he's been turning the ball over. He's been putting his head down and driving into double teams.
Little freshman wall.
Yeah, and the one thing about Iowa State is that you're not going to have to play all that much. They're not going to play all that much defense. So I feel like this is kind of like a get right spot for Cade. So I kind of like Oklahoma State here, especially because like their matchup zone can really be effective against Iowa State and what they want to do offensively. So I think I lean Oklahoma State here, but again, it's not a spot that I really love. Same thing with like UConn against Providence, right? I know we don't have an answer on James Bouknight yet, but with RJ Cole coming off the bench, it looks like that's giving them a little bit of a spark. I guess the injuries to Tyrese Martin and Isaiah Whaley were not all that bad, but it's still like UConn just got their ass kicked by Providence at Providence a week ago. And now they're going to be playing at home, and they're still just as banged up. They still don't have their star. So I don't know, man. There's literally nothing on this slate that I look at and I'm like, wow, I love this spot.
You know what the most intriguing game is?
What's that?
What's the most intriguing game? What's the game, like, honestly, that you want to see the most tonight?
None of them.
Xavier at St. John's.
Okay.
Yes,
I guess
you do.
I mean, it's going to be up and down. They're not going to play much defense, but those are 2 NIT teams.
Oh man, those are fighting words to both teams.
I mean,
well, Xavier, it's going to be interesting if Xavier can kind of come back here. They were on that pause.
To me, Xavier's good enough to do it, but they got to go out and start piling up some wins, right?
Well, they were out a while too. I mean, they're
they played 1 game in 32 days, but now you got to go out and win some games, and it's hard to do coming off a pause. St. John's, like in theory, I guess they probably should be a tournament team, but tournament teams aren't blowing leads on the road at Butler. All right.
Yeah, I just feel like in this one, I probably take Xavier because I think what's St. John's strength, right? Their guard play, tough guards. Well, Xavier's got one of those, right?
Did you see it? Look at the text that just came through on the group chat. Thanks for the help. Give me a good story. He's got a dog.
Oh my God.
Oh man. All right. Last thing I'll just say is this. When Illinois played at Northwestern, they won by 40 in the second half. Illinois is coming off a pretty ugly performance at Nebraska. They're going to be at home. I kind of like Illinois laying the points here. But like, here's the thing. Every single team that I've mentioned here is a favorite. And when I'm like, yeah, I think the favorites are a good spot, I just don't. That's a bad night. I'm staying away from having anything significant. Don't listen to my takes today. My takes are bad today.
I guess the one I like the best. Here's the one I probably like better than any other is LMU, Loyola Marymount against Santa Clara. They're given 3.5. Santa Clara last played on January 23rd. That's a long time, Robert.
It is 3.5 weeks.
Yeah. And so that's probably my favorite bet tonight is probably LMU given 3.5. I also like Akron and Kent State.
There it is. There's the ding.
Akron and Kent State. Akron's given 16.5 to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois has been terrible. Akron's fighting for first place in the MAC, and Kent State is favored by 9.5 at Western Michigan.
I will say this about Akron. The last time they played, that was the game when Northern Iowa almost pulled off the upset, right?
Can't remember.
When you almost called the huge underdog upset.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that's just something worth noting. But yeah, I got nothing today. Follow us on BetSperts. Do that. If we get anything,
we'll try to get some info for you today. We'll try to get some injury info for you mid-afternoon, and we'll kind of see what's going on there. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these games get scratched anyway because of the weather around the country. I think we'll go from having we got about 17 games. I bet we end up
the first time that they played, Northern Illinois beat Akron at home. So this is a revenge game.
Yeah, revenge. I mean, major revenge. Akron has circled this game since then. I'm told. In the locker room, I'm told it's circled, Rob. Like this. Like that. Rob, watch. Rob,
I think it's also worth noting.
Showing you how you circle. I'm showing you how you circle it. That's how they did it. They circled it.
Well,
like that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All of our viewers appreciate that. One thing to note, when the first time that they played, Northern Illinois shot 50% from three, and they shoot 30% from three on the season. So, yeah.
There you go. There's your stat of the day.
Stat of the day.
Of Robert Dauster.
Yep. Akron. Yeah. That's
so are you with me now? Are you all in on Akron? The Zips?
I'm not all in on anything, but I'll follow you on Akron. I'll put on
Zips.
I'm gonna look at this more. I'll find something good. Follow us on BetSperts. Like go there. My name is at Rob Dauster. He is at Goodman Hoops. Apologies we didn't have more, but this is just such a slate.
The weather sucks. I had to drive my daughter to school and back. It's been a rough morning. $2,100 of damage to her car. Just sucks. It sucks having a teenage.
Hey, well, look, I'll tell you what. Just if you put $2,500 on Akron right now, that's going to hit. It's a lock that's going to hit, and you'll pay for it right there.
Imagine if I did that.
Please don't put $2,500
on my daughter. Hey, just let's watch the Akron game, because if Akron wins, you'll get your car fixed and you'll get it back. If Akron loses, you'll never see your car again.
Yeah, no more car for you. Sorry, Talia. All right, Jeffrey.